Welcome back to Afternoon Live. From man-made pigments to natural phenomena, our next guest documented some of the most fascinating and strange colors in the universe, including some forbidden colors that go beyond our perception. We welcome the authors of The Universe in 100 Colors, Tyler Thrasher and Terry Mudge. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell me about what inspired you to write this book. It's so fascinating. I mean, even just going beyond the basics of what our eyes can see as colors.
Yeah, well, I'm a citizen scientist. I grow opals for fun, and opals, in my opinion, are masters of color. So they take white light and diffract into all these spectral colors, and just growing opals has taught me a deeper appreciation for color. And I've learned so much about color that I went to my friend Terry and I was like, hey, we could probably write a book on color.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I run a science shop, and we always have things coming in like geological specimens and other things that are just the most pure forms of colors you've ever seen. And so we really started to compile a list pretty quickly.
Sure, because it's once you start going down the rabbit hole, it's pretty endlessly fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the examples that you have in the book. There are some beautiful images to kind of walk us through. Ancient chlorophyll is one of the ones that stands out. I think we'll be able to show it here on the screen. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about what this represents?
Yeah, so when people think of chlorophyll or plants or algae or like cyanobacteria, they picture green, right? Like green chloroplast, green chlorophyll. Well, a group of scientists got these fossils of cyanobacteria in the Sahara Desert, broke the fossils down, diluted it, and found that they possessed a molecule that when diluted produces a pink sort of salmony color pigment, which indicates that some of the earliest colors on our planet from living organisms were pink or red.
That's amazing how you can connect the dots all the way that far back in history. And there's a special one that has a local connection, the Helenite green, that I think some of us recognize as a gemstone now, right?
Yeah, you might see it on jewelry and everything, and it originated, so the legend goes, after the eruption in 1980. Workers clearing debris with torches noticed that the ash would melt into this bright green glass, and they found out it was actually like the unique chemical composition of the ash itself that caused the green color, and it quickly became popular.
That's so fascinating. Okay, what about blacklight? This is interesting because what can or can't a human eye see in terms of blacklight, right?
Yeah, most people know of blacklight as like the purple lights that make things glow.
Sure.
And really the purple isn't doing anything. It's actually putting out a lot of light in an invisible part of the spectrum in ultraviolet. And that's what a blacklight really is. It's ultraviolet light that happens to bleed over into the purple range.
Okay, and then what about magenta? This is kind of a cool combination of things too. My mind is trying to do all the math on this. It's kind of beyond our perception in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so magenta we know as this hybrid between purple and red, and it's a hue. It's a very vibrant spectral color.
Right.
Magenta doesn't have a spot on the visible light spectrum. It ends with violet and red. But what happens when the human eye sees violet and red at the same time, we have to loop and connect that loop, and we end up seeing magenta. So it doesn't actually have a wavelength. It kind of just exists within our brains, and as a phenomenon we make up to make sense of the gap between violet and red.
That is so cool. Okay, tell me more about opal. You were mentioning earlier this structural color idea.
Yeah, so there's colors that exist based on the structure of the material that light interacts with.
Okay.
Opal is comprised of silica nanoparticles. So imagine filling a box with little glass marbles that are perfectly lined up on top of one another. And white light enters this cubic lattice of silica nanoparticles, and the particles themselves separate white light into all of its different wavelengths. And so when you see all those flashes of color in opal, that is light being broken up and dancing around this mineraloid, this mineral, and the color you see is white light being diffracted.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, you said a lot of big words, but I think I'm with you still. What about this final example, a morpho butterfly? Can you tell me more about what that looks like and what it kind of means in terms of what our eyes perceive it as?
Yeah, that's another structural color. And so the blue you see isn't actually the color of the wing of the butterfly. The microscopic view of the butterfly wing has these little veins, and they're spaced just perfectly enough to only reflect a little range of the blue spectrum and nothing else.
Okay.
And so what you see is this really shimmery, amazing blue that you really have to see in person.
Right.
But it's all structural and just a play of light.
Is that the challenge of putting together a book like this? You have these beautiful images in print, but some of them you can't quite perceive them as you do in the wild, I guess.
A lot of it you just kind of have to take our word for.
But the pictures are pretty anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Yeah.
What about these forbidden colors, things that we really aren't able to understand, I guess, as our eyeballs perceive them? Can you tell me what that means?
So one of the fun chapters in our book is on forbidden colors and possible colors, and it's this idea that there are colors that humans can't perceive. But there are these fun little experiments you can do where you fatigue certain cone cells in your eyes so that they're more sensitive to other colors. So you can fatigue like the blue cone cells in your eyes so that the complementary colors are more sensitive, and you can like have these almost hallucinatory, illusory experiences where you see these colors overlaid on a field of white or black or gray when you shouldn't see them at all.
Okay.
So there's things like ultra blue or hyper blue, this idea that there is a blue more blue than the blue we see, even if it's the purest blue humans can see. And we have a little fun graph in there that mathematically lays out how this is possible.
Okay.
And the numbers behind like hyper blue, hyper green, hyper red.
Yeah.
But essentially the most coloristic colors that you can think of, yeah.
Possible colors is just a big concept. I mean, but that sounds super exciting and fun to kind of explore. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
I want to let everybody know about your events coming up. Tyler and Terry have a book event tonight at 7 p.m. at Powell City of Books on West Burnside. They also have a book event on Saturday at 2 p.m. That's at Paxton Gate on Northwest 23rd. We'll have all the details for you on our website, and the book again is The Universe in 100 Colors. For more information, just head to katu.com.